Hello, everybody, and welcome to Reality Hacker for May 10th, 2025. It's Season 2, Episode 19. I am Merwad. I run ohmtown.com, and the sentient AI is not available for today's episodes, but that's okay. We've got 5 articles for Reality Hacker: Cyborg Cicadas, Robot with Feels, Visual Intelligence, Neurotech Devices, and AI-powered headphones that do so much more. I'm going to just do the intro and we're going to get right on into it. I am doing this as a time machine episode, all 6 of our podcasts. Basically, I have to play catch up because mayoral duties kept me from doing the show. But anyway, we're doing the show. We never miss a show. All right, everybody, let's get into it. The very first thing to note, though, is that this is ohmtown right here, ohmtown.com. It's basically a list of nothing but headlines. And then when you click inside it, you'll end up going into, let's say in this case, you click on this first drop down and click on Reality Hacker. That's where you'll get taken into the show, which is not necessarily everything that we grab content from, though. So we don't only grab links from Reality Hacker on ohmtown.com. That said, most of them are from a perspective of where essentially, if you can modify reality, fake it, tweak it, customize it to your own will, that's basically hacking reality. And so this first article is about scientists direct cyborg cicadas to play a horrendous droning rendition of Pachelbel's canon. And when I selected this, oh boy, I didn't know what to expect. I thought maybe it was cyborg in the sense of robotic cicadas, but Pachelbel's canon in D is like the doom of the music world. It was performed on everything from train horns to rubber chickens to strange juggling bells. It would be easier to find an instrument that the canon hasn't been played in. The article is over at futurism.com, written by Joe Wilkins, under a section, the subsection that they call the Byte. Kind of like ohmtown, except we aggregate all kinds of news from around the internet, around the world, and pull it into ohmtown. It says some of them were like, okay, use my abdomen, it says, as the deck statement. I don't think that any of them were like, yeah, okay, you use me as a tool for your experiment. So recently, a new quote-unquote instrument entered the pantheon. Not only is it an instrument at all, but it's rather an insect stuck with probes and zapped with electricity. And if you're imagining the typical wedding arrangement of Pachelbel's canon played on a harp or a string quartet, you might be disappointed because this particular rendition uses the face-scrunching sounds of the brown cicada. I'm not going to play it. There is a video that's apparently over on YouTube by New Scientist under their technology headline. The whole thing is made possible to the cicada's noise organs called the timbal. Timbals are a pair of ridged membranes located in the cicada's abdomen, and then rubbed together they produce the insect's famous songs. Infamous, really, is what they write, but in the wild, male cicadas will band together in groups, coincidentally called a chorus. It's not coincidentally, it's intentionally called a chorus because that's what somebody named it. Like birds are a flock. Why do we call it a flock? Because of semiotic ontology. Things gain meaning typically over time. One thing leads to another, and the typical thing is that's why we understand that the stop sign is red, has stop on it, is shaped a certain way, and does a certain thing. It stops you from driving through a four-way stretch. Anyway, in the lab, pardon me. In the lab, Tsukuba researchers used carefully controlled electrical signals to force the timbals together, and by manipulating the voltage, the team was able to unlock the potential of the cicada chorus and grace us with the most offensive rendition of Pachelbel's canon we've ever heard. Let's move on. The next article is over in non sequitur news. Amazon develops a robot that feels feels touch. They put quotes in this, just like its human workers. No, it doesn't. Amazon has announced a new AI-infused warehouse robot that says that it has a sense of touch. This allows the Vulcan robot to pick and stow roughly 3/4 of the items stocked in the company's warehouses, a task that previously handled predominantly by human workers, which means more people losing their jobs soon. Vulcan represents a fundamental leap forward in robotics, says Aaron Parnas, Amazon's director of applied science, in a press release. It's not just seeing the world, it's feeling it, enabling capabilities that were impossible for Amazon robots until now. We here in ohmTown have known about this kind of stuff for quite some time now, since we've been doing the show now for 3 years and 6 months, 5 months. Yeah, we've run across this type of technology. The article, though, is showing a certain type of robot, whereas the other robots or the other technologies are decidedly more high fidelity, designed to be, once it's refined, to be applied to robot fingers, even bodies, so that they have a sense of touch. The company insists that its new Vulcan robot will be used alongside existing warehouse workers right up until, yeah, I'm sure that they can be replaced. Dominic Preston over at TheVerge.com put the article together. Vulcan is not Amazon's first robot capable of picking up items, but is the first that's dexterous and sensitive enough to maneuver goods inside the compact fabric-covered compartments that the company uses for storage, which are themselves already moved around warehouses by a different fleet of robots. Yeah. They have these little, they basically look like Roombas, except that they're very powerful and they can lift up an entire stack of items, move it around. So it says, I don't believe in 100% automation, says Parnas in an interview with CNBC that demonstrates Vulcan's capabilities. If we had to get Vulcan to do everything or 100% of the stows and picks, it would never happen. I don't believe that for a nanosecond. That's stemming the blood flow. That's about it. This next article is over in the Wanted channel. 5 things you can do with visual intelligence on your phone. I'm going to jump straight on into it. The article is over at pocket-lint.com, and whoever owns pocketlint.com, please donate that over to pocket-lint.com. Roger Fingus put the article together. It says here, visual intelligence lets you scan environment for related information so long as you've got a compatible phone running the right version of iOS. Scanning text offers options like translations, location information, and the ability to generate events in Apple Calendar. You can also scan plants, animals, inanimate objects. Extended info is available through options like ChatGPT and Google Search. Beyond that, enabling visual intelligence is as simple as updating to the latest version of iOS to ensure that you've got maximum capability. So you need the 16, I believe it's 16E, 15 Pro, and the 16, of course, I think. Anyway, you can get info and options for businesses and other locations. It's not just about restaurants, it says. Translate, summarize, and extract data from text. Create an Apple Calendar event. Get info about plants, animals, and other objects. It says that you may need to be patient. It's because it's searching a database. Eventually, it'll get distilled down so it's even faster. And then search Google for similar images. Faster than Google itself, it says. Quite an intriguing article. Again, it's by Roger Fingus over at pocket-lint.com. And let's move on. Our next article is over at Our next article is over at Law Nerd. Wearable neurotech devices are becoming more prevalent. Is the law behind the curve? This article is by Danielle Braff over at abajournal.com. They talk about the legal aspects of things, American Bar Association. So at the time when watches and eyeglasses can track steps, heart rate, and even emotions, wearables are entering a new frontier, brain waves. But as these devices become more sophisticated, the legal questions around privacy and data security grow more complex, leaving attorneys to determine what protections exist and what gaps leave users vulnerable. Well, that is a cultural issue that I think we are going to have to wrestle with in a time where there are a whole lot more issues here weighing us down. So it could feel like death by a thousand cuts kind of a thing, because privacy has been promoted as being dead for the last 15 years plus. And data security really falls on the providers of services, yet it seems like there isn't anything that really is promoting it other than, strict liability kind of a thing. Your company gets breached. You didn't do anything, even an attempt to try and mitigate it in any way, shape, or form because you don't care about cybersecurity. And it takes a class action lawsuit for any accountability to form at all. And if you got enough money, then even that won't even manifest. So it says while technology is still being tested, it could help with everything from management of chronic pain to monitoring the brain activity of students and criminal suspects, which I think is creepy as hell. That statement right there. Yeah. One example currently used is a cochlear implant, so an in-ear implant. Neurotechnology, it depends on how they're actually applying this neurotechnology. And maybe there's something that I haven't heard about, but cochlear implants don't necessarily directly attach to a nerve per se. They are a close proximity to, if I recall correctly. And then they talk about Neuralink, which I wouldn't want implanted on a human being ever, because it's still quote unquote experimental. And so whenever the funds dry up for that project, so will the support of that project. And I just hate that. So do physiological responses count as neurodata because they are triggered by neural activity, or does neurodata have to be collected directly from neurons? What about motor neurons, which control muscular movements? Sarah Poland Guarcero, a senior associate of Alston and Bird's technology and privacy group and a former critical care nurse, asks the question, basically, the legal line between the nervous system and the muscular system is blurry. So while it may have endless potential, see cyberpunk or neuromancer, cyberpunk in general, just say that, and you can see the full range of thought processes around what technology and neurotech really can be. One issue to note when looking at neurotechnology laws is that neurotechnologies are diverse in their use and terms. The neurotech involved in the treatment of individuals in healthcare, then the federal law restricting release of medical information could be part of the regulatory requirements, says Jordan Fisher, a founding member of Fisher Law and visiting research professor in the Center of Law and Transformational Technology at Drexel. So there's more over this, but essentially the law is always going to be trailing because adoption takes place and then society, which is what law is based off of, adapts to that technology. Essentially, enough people are harmed by it that a law is formed, or enough people, harmed. I'll just say harmed, because nobody creates a law because everything is happening positively. Laws are basically constraints on society. Without law, you have chaos, you have anarchy, you have hedonism to the extreme where people don't care, and you have sociopathy or psychopathy that runs rampant with no downward societal pressures to control. And that's what laws are. Laws are designed to keep the multitudes safe from the abusive few. And that's really not what happens necessarily with fast-moving tech. It gets put into the market with some controls, but it's usually health related because somebody does a research study. But if you do away with the disclosure of research results, because there is no agency, in place anymore to monitor the people doing these research experiments, then it can be put in people. And the only thing that happens is if enough people are harmed by it, then it becomes public information. That doesn't always take a very speedy, expedited way because the people who do speak out about it are suppressed, oppressed, marginalized, minimalized, removed basically from the public zeitgeist. I mean, you don't have whistleblower protections because everybody's cool with somebody blowing the whistle. You have whistleblower protections because people, well, they get, abused because they speak out against something. All right. Well, anyway, this next article and the final one for today's Reality Hacker is AI-powered headphones offer group translation with voice cloning and 3D spatial audio. Tao Che Chen, a University of Washington doctoral student, and I gave it my best try. I'm not sure if that's how it's pronounced entirely. Recently toured a museum in Mexico. Chen doesn't speak Spanish, so he ran a translation app on his phone and pointed the microphone at the tour guide. But even in the museum is relatively quiet. The surrounding noise was too much. The resulting text was useless, it says here in this little snippet. But the article is over at Tech Explorer. It comes from Stefan Milne over at University of Washington. And it says, various technologies have emerged lately promising fluent translation, but none of these solve Chen's problem of public spaces. Meta's new glasses, for instance, function only with an isolated speaker. They play an automated voice translation after the speaker finishes. Now, Chen and team of UW researchers have designed a headphone system that translates several speakers at once while preserving the direction and qualities of people's voices. The team built the system called Spatial Speech Translation with off-the-shelf noise-canceling headphones fitted with microphones. The team's algorithms separate out the different speakers in a space and follow them as they move, translate their speech, and play it back with a 2 to 4 second delay, which is enough to speech jam the hell out of you. If you hear your own voice, for whatever reason, our brains can't really treat it as a separate thing because we're thinking it, saying it, and then we hear it offset. It jams us up. It's really difficult to overcome too. So other translation tech is built on the assumption that that there's only one person speaking, and that's just not the way of the world. But in the real world, that says here, you can't have just one robotic voice talking for multiple people in a room. For the first time, they've preserved the sound of each person's voice and direction that it's coming from, and then play it back. Our algorithms work a little like radar, so they're scanning the space in 360 degrees and constantly determining and updating whether there's one person or 6 or 7, which is actually really great, because then in a virtual space or in any space, you could actually notify the person that is wearing these devices or utilizing this technology where somebody is in a given space instead of being surprised by them. I mean, it's really fascinating just what could be done with this thing. So they said it's a step toward breaking down the language barriers between cultures. The whatchamacallit, the translator in Star Trek, what do they call it? Universal translator in Star Trek. This is amazing stuff. I really want this, and I would love to have those right now, because I have in-ear monitors right now, and I have a microphone that picks up pretty much everything. A mouse fart can happen in another building, and I hear it here through this mic. My noise cancellation, it wants to set itself on fire every time I stream. Anyway, that's it for today. I am going to use some AI-powered headphones to translate our location back to the front page of Reality Hacker over at ohmtown.com, where you should go and sign up. Be sure to tell a friend, ring the bell, follow us on YouTube and on Twitch, download the podcast. We're growing, but we could really use your help, and sincerely appreciate it. So that's it. We're out of here. See you in a little bit, because I'm going to reset and I'm going to do Wanted. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Wanted, one of our 6 weekly shows. This is Wanted, and it comes after Reality Hacker and before the Continuity Report each Saturday. And on Sunday, we have 3 other shows. Stick around. We're going to do all 6 in rapid fire today, because we couldn't do them over the weekend. Mayoral duties kept me really busy. But that's not why you're here for this inside baseball stuff. You want to know what we're talking about today at Wanted. Wanted's a show about gadgets and gear, and it's stuff that I want. So see a hard drive at work, smart Birdhouse, the Nikon Coolpix P1100, Nike workout shoes, and Street Fighter gaming chair. We'll talk about that on the other side. All right, everybody, what you see here is the front page of ohmtown.com, but what you're really interested in is found in Wanted. Although we take from all over ohmtown.com, we aggregate news, just headlines and a little snippet. You'll see how it works. Our first article is Buffalo put a window on a hard drive so you can see what it looks like at work. The Buffalo Skeleton hard disk puts the inner workings of a 4 terabyte hard drive on display. I no longer encourage spinning disks unless they are for basically long-term storage or like surveillance, NAS stuff that isn't going to be used a lot unless you buy enterprise class storage devices. The failure rate to me is that kind of spooks me too much. And I prefer solid state drives because they're faster, dramatically faster. But to help celebrate the 50 years that parent company has been in business, Japan's Buffalo is the manufacturer, has announced a limited edition external hard drive with a window that lets you see its inner workings. It says, don't whip out your credit card just yet, though. Buffalo Skeleton hard drive is limited to just 50 units or $700. It's a 4 terabyte spinning disk. I don't know if it actually still functions or not. I think it's really fascinating. It looks pretty. It's black and gold, and you can actually see the wires. But the drive is at a 45-degree or so angle inside this metal housing with a clear acrylic. It looks like maybe it's glass frame. It's pretty cool. Buffalo is reviving a hard drive design from 1998 that reveals its inner workings. Andrew Lazuski put the article together, and you'll be able to see the arm going across the drive. Usually it's pretty fast though. So the Skeleton hard drive mounts a 4 terabyte hard drive inside a machined aluminum housing with a small window attached to it to turn it into a 3.3 pound hard drive. Gold and anodized black finish is an homage to Retro Melco, Buffalo's parent company record player. That's kind of what I envisioned it to be. Looks like it's USB-C instead of, oh, it's a micro B? Is what? The external drive features a power connector on the back and a USB micro B port instead of USB-C. That, what the hell? Anyway, I love the idea of this. I think that this is pretty cool. Nowadays, though, I would rather it just be solid state. But I love this. If I had $700 that I wanted to drop at something that looks nice and isn't really functional, because I would never use anything that's USB, anything other than C at this date. Yeah. So at CES 2006, Western Digital launched a 150 gigabyte serial ATA drive called the Raptor X with a similar design to the new HD SKL that used a small window to reveal a portion of its interior. So that's that right there versus that right there, the big old skeleton hard disk. Looks pretty cool. Anyway, let's keep on moving. This next article is over in RealityHacker. That was the show that we just got done doing. Birdfee. Sounds like Eufy, but Birdfee. Nest Polygon Smart Birdhouse Review. It says, primed for pictures, creatively designed nest box is ready to tell a story if it can attract birds. The article is in the Wired section called, well, Gear. And this creatively designed camera nest box. So birds fly in, it actually can hold onto it and it'll take picture. When they land, it'll take pictures. And there's a camera inside that looks down into the bird box, and that's where they can make a nest. This has actually been really huge. Third eaglet belonging to famous big bear bald eagles dies, it says here, during a snowstorm. Jackie and Shadow continue to care for their eaglets. Shows the real world happenings of a bird nest. And this is something that streams online, but you can do the same thing using something like this. Basically, you just stream from that little bird cam. I think that it's pretty brilliant. And people are really fascinated by this stuff. They want to see how nature actually works 24 hours a day, 7 days a week in real time. Also of interest are the interchangeable lens entry holes, 0.9 inches, 1.5 inches, and 2 inches, each with its own metal predator guard to prevent chewing by squirrels and other unwanted visitors. The BirdFeed website lists the types of birds that are attracted to each size hole, but they said that they found some suggestions, such as the size preferred by the black-capped chickadee, to contradict advice that they'd seen elsewhere. They also recommend consulting Cornell Labs Nest Watch project for both hole sizes and nesting box heights, because some birds won't go certain height or too low, right? Find this kind of stuff pretty interesting. The camera needs to be kept above 32 degrees Fahrenheit for optimal operation, and birds' nesting instinct is activated within a fairly rigid window of time. If you're in the U.S., the U.S. Department of Agriculture Farm Service Agency has a handy chart, and it's linked to that chart there in the Wired article. And there is much more over there. You can go and check it all out. That said, it says that it's a solid 1080p video quality with infrared night vision, interchangeable lenses. Interchangeable hole sizes, not lenses, but interchangeable hole sizes to attract different birds. Remote access for charging and restarting, and no subscription is needed. They say that no birds have nested in it. Varnished interior and large cavity size may be off-putting. Audible camera click when going live could scare curious visitors. No roof overhang to keep water out. That's on the side here. Down here. Yeah, kind of needs a little bit more shade and protection. There's an overhang over here, but not on this side. That could be augmented, though. Anyway, pretty neat. I dig this kind of stuff. All right, the next article is over on the Wanted channel. Hey, got a show name for that. Nikon Coolpix P1100 Super Zoom camera review. See bird butts from 1,000 feet. Now, I chose these, but I did not choose all of these in this order, and I definitely didn't plan to have two bird articles. Anyway, Nikon's ultimate super zoom camera returns, and while it's filled with highly particular niche, it's basically alone in that niche, which is the super zoom, a 300 millimeter lens, basically hard coded into this thing. Nikon's ultimate super zoom. Jeffrey Morrison over at cnet.com put the article together, and it says here, you can't see the Apollo 11 landing site, but you can get shots of the moon that rival some inexpensive telescopes. It's a point-and-shoot camera that goes from 24 millimeters to 3,000 millimeters. Not 300 millimeters, it's a 3,000 millimeter. And yeah, it's pretty darn amazing. 15.9 megapixel camera, 4K 30 video, which the reason why I flinch about 4K 30 is that the more frames per second you get, the more chance you get at capturing something you really want. But when it's only 30, you lose half that from 4K 60, right? Kind of makes sense. So, but the problem with that is you need more light when you get more frames. Otherwise, things get blurry and whatever else. Anyway, a few things make such zoom possible is in reasonably compact portable package. It's not a very fast lens. It's reasonable at f2.8, which isn't that bad at the wide end, but then drops off as soon as you start to zoom, ending in f8, which for that distance, I think that it's reasonable, depending on the price. So let's see. They say that the P1100 sensor is the same size as the far more compact Panasonic ZS-99, their overall pick for best point-and-shoot camera. I say the best camera is the one that you've got in your hand, which is typically your phone, so embrace that. But that's a beast of a lens to be thrown out. Significant changes the P1100 adds from its predecessors are Bluetooth 5.2, easier connections to modern phones, USB-C, required by EU law, but a welcome addition regardless. Nikon SnapBridge app isn't flashy, but it connects to the camera easily. So these ducks are down there in that pond, little creek kind of a thing. Either there or there. I don't know where they are on this picture. Taken from the same spot 1 minute apart, you can just barely make out the first duckling coming around the corner on the left, so over here. But then when you zoom in, you get to see them all. That's insane. Oh yeah, okay, I can see that. Like way over there. Way over there. All right. And this is the water bottle. It says the water bottle is on the center of the image on the left. So I guess right there. Yeah, I don't know. There's somebody walking right there. I don't really see it. Anyway, this is pretty amazing stuff. ISO is maxed out at 6400. Let's see if I can find something else of interest. Yeah, just more zoom like crazy. Let's see. So, who is it for? Basically, anyone who wants or needs a massive zoom lens without taking out a second mortgage to pay for it. You'd have to spend many thousands of dollars to get a comparable zoom in a mirrorless or DSLR. So DSLR and mirrorless are basically the same thing, except without the mirror slap from a DSLR, that the single lens reflex. This mirror slap is when the mirror drops out. The mirror drops out of the way so that it can hit the sensor instead of you looking through it to frame it. When you push the button, the mirror drops down. So the P1100 is $1,100, so it's right in the name. So without exaggeration, there really isn't anything like the P1100 without spending a ton of money. It depends on your glass, I suspect. Let's see. Let's see if I can find something. You can get a 1300. Okay, wait. Let me scroll back up for a second. I want to see the beginning lens is 24 and it zooms out to 3000. Okay, you're never going to find that. And even the Canon RF 1200 is $20,000. I know that there are other lenses, like you can get a 650 to 1300, and that's f8 to 16, and it's $210, but it pales in comparison to the glass from Canon. But honestly, it's 650 to 1300. So yeah, this is a pretty good deal if you're looking to reach out and touch someone. This next article is over in the Wanted channel. Nike's $900 workout shoes with compression and heating launch next week. The Nike Hikey boots, the Nike Hyper boots, made to help you warm up and recover from workouts, will soon be available this weekend. Actually, tomorrow. The article is over at CNET. Corrine Reichert put the article together, and these are the Hyper boots. It says Hyper Ice, but why is it heating if it says ice? Anyway, $899. The Hyper boot will be available to buy in North America in just a week. The high tops, which Nike and Hyper Ice say, it's a brand. Hyper Ice say are wearable, much like your smartwatch, help your feet warm up before and recover after a workout. The footwear available May 17th does this with heating and air compression massage technology right there in your shoes, taking the whole idea of a heating pad and compression socks and making them mobile. Well, I'm kind of curious, what is the weight limit of this? I mean, let's see, the footwear available May 17th, so in 7 days still. Not this Saturday, because it says this Saturday, or Saturday. Anyway, the batteries last 1 to 1.5 hours on max heat and compression settings, or 8 hours if you're only using the massage setting. It takes 5 to 6 hours to charge via USB-C cable. Jeez, that's some slow roll battery there. The Hyperboot contains a system of dual air bladders and deliver sequential compression patterns and are bonded to thermally efficient heating elements that evenly distribute heat throughout the shoe's upper. The way I see this is it's niche, and I don't know you're not going to be running in these. You're just going to put them on, I guess, and walk around gently. They almost have a rounded foot. Yeah, this is pretty insane. Anyway, do I want them? Yeah, sure. It'd be neat to try them out. I think that Nike should send them, but I'm usually sitting in an office or on my way to some location to sit in an office. Let's move on. Our last article for today's Wanted is over in Wanted. Overhaul your gaming space with the $183 off Street Fighter Edition gaming chair. If you're a Street Fighter 6 fan, this Whoop deal slashes the cost of Cooler Master's Caliber X2 gaming chair down to just $117 for a limited time. We don't have a deal with anybody, not CNET or Woot or anybody. We are largely just kind of flying by the seat of our pants. Adrian Marlowe put the article together for CNET.com. That's what it looks like right there. Does it have a drink holder? All right. So you can snag Cooler Master's Caliber X2 Street Fighter 6 Ken Edition. All right. So it says, why does the deal matter? Gaming chairs don't come cheap, and at just over $100, the Ken-themed Street Fighter 6 edition is a great buy for fans and knocks $183 off the original price. So maybe they're just trying to get rid of them. Do I really want this? I want another chair. I like trying out chairs. The only one that's really worked for me, though, is an Aaron chair for long periods of time. I was sitting in 2 different locations this weekend for a total of 8 hours across the 2 days. And boy, was I glad to be sitting back in my Aaron chair. Well, anyway, go over to cnet.com and check out this article. They'll all be embedded in the show notes for... I'm going to try and put all of the articles in the show notes for all of the shows, just in case you want to hop, skip, and jump to all of the shows. All right, but that's it. That is the end of our Wanted. So we're going to jump into our rolling chair and fling ourselves down the hallway that isn't carpeted. Yep, it's all stone, and so we're just going to roll all the way down Main Street to the front page of Wanted over at ohmtown.com, where you should go and become a citizen. Be sure to sign up, follow us over on YouTube and on Twitch. We're always there, except this weekend for whatever reason. We streamed, though, the replay of the last 2 weeks, and we'll do it again. See you soon. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Continuity Report for May 10th, 2025. It's Season 2, Episode 19. I am Merwad. I run ohmtown.com. Sentient AI is not here today, and today we're going to be talking about Poker Face, Guillermo Del Lovecraft, Binge the Best Sci-Fi, Adstra, Paper Tiger, and Foundation Season 3 in July. Hello, hello. Again, I am Merwat, and I run that website right there. You should go over and become a citizen. It's really easy, but also follow us on YouTube and on Twitch. And together, we'll build a community. Sound great? Sounds great. So what I've been doing during the week is, along with the Sentient AI, we read some interesting articles and we talk about them live during the show. On the weekends, we do the same thing, but 5 articles in 3 different shows on Saturday and 3 different shows on Sunday, each with their own topics. It all works out pretty well until mayoral duties keep me from doing something online. And that was this Saturday and Sunday. I wasn't able to do the shows at all. That said, we're ready to go. So there is the Continuity Report, which is basically a report of discontinuity. To keep continuity, you have to track where everything is, and that's what the Continuity Report does. And so we always giggle about things that don't quite make sense. That doesn't necessarily mean all of our articles are about that kind of stuff. For instance, Poker Face creator Ryan Johnson on perfecting the murder mystery and why his next movie after Knives Out isn't Star Wars. Rian Johnson's Poker Face returns for season 2 on Peacock with Natasha Lyonne solving mysteries. Johnson explained to Business Insider how they recruit a star-studded cast each season. Johnson plans to take on an original movie after the release of Netflix's Wake Up, Dead Man. When it comes to murder, Rian Johnson knows what elements make the perfect crime, and so far, Poker Face has been spectacular. Natasha Lyonne is the star, and I can't remember the show that they were on before this. Anyway, Jason Garazio put this article together for BusinessInsider.com. And it says here, the writer-director has spent the last 6 years immersed in the whodunit genre surrounding Daniel Craig's Southern dandy detective Benoit Blanc, with a cast of quirky suspects in 2 Knives Out movies. A third is out this fall. Refining the procedural format for streaming with Peacock's Poker Face, starring Natasha Lyonne. The murder mystery genre has served me well, says Johnson, who told that to Business Insider with a giggle in the days leading up to the season 2 premiere of Poker Face, which is Thursday. Or I should say was Thursday, or is Thursday. I'm not sure. The series, which stars Leone as Charlie Cale, a mystery-solving former casino worker on the run from the mob, uses the case of the week format to feature all manner of zany scenarios acted out by star-studded cast of guest stars. So every episode, we've only seen the first season, and not even all of it, actually. There's 10 episodes, I believe, and I think we're only like halfway through it. Been a blast. Every episode is a bottle that actually drags the premise of the entire show along, but really each episode is unique unto itself. It's pretty cool. So Johnson knows the value of keeping things creatively interesting. That's why he plans to take a break from the whodunit genre and start a new project after his last Knives Out installment, Wake Up Dead Man, hits Netflix this fall. Dun dun dun. All right, there's more to this article, so you're gonna have to go over and check it all out. You can actually pull up the show's notes by typing in basically the acronym of the show. So it's TCR, exclamation point TCR. You throw that into the chat in Twitch, or you just plain look for it in the description of the show, in the show notes for today's show. Let's keep going though. I really want to see a Lovecraft adaptation by Guillermo Del Toro. So this next article is over in the Continuity Report, why Guillermo Del Toro's long-awaited Lovecraft adaptation still hasn't happened despite being announced in 2010. At the Mountains of Madness is one of the most exciting projects of the esteemed director's backlog, but it may still be a long time before it ever sees the light of day. One of the most esteemed dark fantasy and horror directors to ever take hold of Hollywood, Guillermo Del Toro's movies have a distinct flair for the supernatural and disturbing that would be right at home amid the works of H.P. Lovecraft. Sans, of course, the extreme racism, cultural relativity aside, H.P. Lovecraft. There's a whole discussion there in the society aspect of the show, which all of the shows take on a discussion at some point about science, technology, and society. That's definitely ensconced in the society part. At one point, Del Toro promised he would explore this connection, not this connection, but the supernatural and disturbing. He would explore the connection by adapting one of the famous horror author's most spooky works, At the Mountains of Madness. The article is over at ScreenRant.com. Alexander Valentino put the article together. So, At the Mountains of Madness is one of the more famous novels by H.P. Lovecraft, describing the fate of a doomed Antarctic expedition that happens upon a lost alien civilization buried behind mountains of ice. If the premise sounds familiar, it should be no surprise that it's has its elements have since been lifted for all kinds of movies since Lovecraft's work through a direct adaptation for film has been still shockingly never been done. So the film has been in Del Toro's mind for a long time. Pardon me one second. However, in July of 2010, Del Toro announced that he'd be directing the project. The film was meant to be played in theaters in 3D with Tom Cruise tentatively attached for some much needed star power. Unfortunately, later that year, it seemed as though the film had fallen through with an R rating, period setting, and downer ending all being cited by Del Toro as consistent reasons studios were too afraid to commit to it. Yeah. Guillermo lamented, well, you have to pivot it to something. Nobody wants just a morose blah ending. So that's basically it. It's very difficult for studios to take the step of doing an R-rated tentpole movie with a tough ending, no love story, set in a period from a writer who has a readership as big as any bestseller, but it's tough to quantify because his works are in the public domain. Yeah, there's ways. Come on, it's not that hard. Despite initially being greenlit for shooting in native 3D, I wouldn't do it in 3D. That's too kitschy. Yeah. At the Mountains of Madness once again fell through, doomed to join the list of unmade Guillermo del Toro projects. So, still in the writing stages. We'll see. It'll have to get a PG-13 rating, probably. It'll have to pivot to be at least something approaching a net positive ending or a net neutral ending. Yeah, I don't know. I think that we're cool with Final Destination. Why wouldn't we be okay with this? Anyway, Guillermo del Toro's characters are pretty freaking spectacular. So I hope that this actually comes into existence. In the same conversation, Guillermo del Toro name-dropped Phil Tippett as someone that would be eager to work with in translating At the Mountains of Madness for screen via medium of stop motion. Phil Tippett is a legendary special effects artist known for crafting fantastical creations in films such as Star Wars, RoboCop, Jurassic Park. More notably, Tippett pioneered a shocking stop-motion horror movie with Mad God. All of these pieces, I think it's supposed to be thus. There's a typo. Thus, all of these pieces in place at the Mountains of Madness has a very real possibility of, albeit a different form than first anticipated. We'll see. I'm looking forward to this. I hope that it actually comes to pass. That would be amazing. Let's move on. Our next article is over in the Continuity Report. You can binge one of the best sci-fi shows of the decade in less than 10 hours. Station 11 delivers both fronts, profoundly thought-provoking, binge-worthy, stunning sci-fi miniseries which adapts Emily St. John Mandel's acclaimed 2014 novel. Station 11 explores the beauty and resilience of humanity in the aftermath of a global pandemic. We lived through it. The wildest part of the show is that it came out just a year after COVID-19 broke. But it's a 2014 novel. The article is over at screenrant.com and Lipset. Oh, I'm watching, or I should say the Sentient AI and I are watching the Eternaut. Pretty amazing. You'll have to watch it. I'm not doing it justice when I say that it's pretty amazing. Sci-fi, for sure. The timey-wimey stuff haven't quite manifested that. There's these things that appear to be either flashbacks or flash sideways or whatever. But it was pretty amazing to see the antagonist in this that we think is the antagonist, but we're slow rolling this because I want to squeeze every drop of yumminess from this, the Eternaut. It's really amazing. Go and check it all out. Anyway, this article is about Station 11 offers a complete, emotionally rich journey that you can experience in a single day or weekend. Binge watching 10 hours. I guess. Is that a binge watch? 10 hours? Like just watch it all the way through in one day? I don't know if I can spend 10 hours just watching. Been there before, I suppose. Anyway, the series differs from many dystopian stories. It's an underrated sci-fi series based on a dystopian novel. Station 11, both the book and the series are set in the aftermath of a devastating flu pandemic that wiped out most of the world's population, which is exactly what COVID-19 is. At the story's core is a traveling symphony that performs Shakespeare plays for destitute settlements scattered worldwide. The show delves into the themes of memory, survival, connection, emphasizing how stories and relationships shape identity and hope. And unlike typical dystopian narratives that focus solely on violence or control, Station 11 offers a more reflective and emotional vision of a post-apocalyptic world. Go and check it out. Be sure to swing by this article over at ScreenRant.com and Lipsit. This next article is over in the Continuity Report as well. Scarlett Johansson and Miles Teller join Adam Driver and Adstra. Director's Paper Tiger cast. Paper Tiger is a new film going into production next month in New Jersey that comes from director James Gray, who's known for making 2016's The Lost City of Z and 2019's Ad Astra. There's an Adstra. What is going on? What? I thought it was Ad Astra, but they have Adstra in the title. Character details are being kept under wraps at the time, but so what about Paper Tiger? What is that all about? So the article is by Brandon Schroer over at comingsoon.net. So what is it about? It's a tense and gritty story. Two brothers pursue the American dream, only to become entangled in a scheme that turns out too good to be true, the synopsis reads. As they try to navigate their way through an ever more dangerous world of corruption and violence, they find themselves and their family brutally terrorized by the Russian mafia. Their bond begins to fray, and betrayal, once utterly unthinkable, now becomes all too possible. So let's see. I don't know the time frame. I don't know. Yeah, it doesn't say the time frame. Anyway, sounds like it might be intriguing. I don't really know, though. We'll see. It depends. The emotional stuff of this sometimes, and the whole violence aspect of it, if it's too gratuitous, I'm just not interested anymore. Not in something that is absolutely approaching reality. This would be quite possible depending on just how over the top it is. Okay, let's keep going. The next article is over in Non Sequitur News. Apple's Sci Fi Epic Foundation is back for season 3 in July. One of Apple's biggest series will start streaming again this summer. The company announced that season 3 of Foundation will hit Apple TV Plus on July 11th, and the new episodes will land weekly through September 12th. As part of the announcement, Apple is also releasing the first teaser for the 3rd season. I had already seen this. Andrew Webster over at TheVerge.com put the article together. You can now watch that first teaser right now, or right there on The Verge. We don't aggregate that part. You can go over to The Verge and watch it, or go on to YouTube and just type in Foundation Season 3, and you'll get, I think that's what they actually call it. Foundation Season 3 official teaser. Pardon my cough. Anyway, it originally premiered in 2021. Things kind of went wonky for a little while, but now it's back in 2025 for Season 3. And they introduce a new antagonist who wants to basically disrupt the Foundation and or the Empire. Set 152 years after the events of Season 2, the Foundation has become increasingly established far beyond its humble beginnings, while the Cleonic dynasty Empire has dwindled as both of these galactic powers forge an uneasy alliance. A threat to the entire galaxy appears in the fearsome form of a warlord known as the Mule, which was teased in Season 2. It's anyone's guess who will win, who will lose, who will live, and who will die as Harry Seldon, Gail Dornick, and the Cleons and Demerzel play a potentially deadly game of intergalactic chess. It is a fun watch. You should go back and watch Season 1 and 2 now. It's pretty interesting. I don't know what's going to happen with the Mule, but he was already a planned addition for Season 3 by the end of Season 2. It was a known incoming thing. Actually, sooner than that, if I recall correctly, Season 1, I think it was hinted at. Anyway, pretty cool stuff. And with that, we are going to tease you back to the front page of the Continuity Report over at ohmtown.com. Go over there and become a citizen. Thank you very much, and I'll see you tomorrow.